Welcome back, everybody. First house call of the weekend. Every single weekend, answering about 10 of our community's questions. 5 on Saturdays, 5 on Sundays. Some of my favorite shows of the week, and that is because you dictate what the topic is every single weekend. If you ever have a question of your own, don't feel bad about submitting one for you or a loved one. Simply go to stevencabral.com/askcabral. Takes about 6 weeks or so to get it read live on the show, but they are always answered in the order they come in their unedited form. So head on over, as I said, to stevencabral.com/askcabral. Feel free to submit your question. All right, let's dive into the first question. First question that my team does such a great job putting together. So again, compliments to them. First question is from Celia. Celia says, I suffer from severe anxiety around driving, being a passenger in a car or crowded places or big stores. It all came on all of a sudden, has been around for the last 4 years or so. I also have PCOS, and I believe I'm in perimenopause, but going to a doctor is a trigger as well. It's worse even in the summer heat. My current hair analysis is on the way to lab. I've taken 2 before, but the practitioner said I needed around 25 different supplements. Wow, that's a lot. Money was rolling out the door with no change. The main vitamins do you suggest for someone with PCOS, perimenopause, and extreme anxiety? I currently take fulvic, black seed oil, omega-3, vitamin D3 and K2, inositol, magnesium glycinate. Thank you, Celia. All right, Celia, I'd love to be able to help with this. So first things first, when you have an increase in anxiety or you become claustrophobic or whatever it might be, oftentimes it's multifactorial. So one, yes, there are deficiencies. Oftentimes methylated B vitamins, sometimes magnesium, sometimes zinc. Those can be extremely helpful, as well as omega-3s. We'll talk about your stack in just a moment. Next up, there can also be greater amounts of stress. And greater amounts of stress, oftentimes when there's inflammatory foods or poor sleep, then become even more anxiety, because when our digestive system isn't imbalanced, it affects the brain through the gut-brain axis. And when we get less sleep, we simply have a lower threshold for overall stress. So the hair tissue mineral analysis, remember, it's always about the practitioner. You can run it from a bunch of different companies. 25 different supplements is a lot. 12 supplements, okay. 6 supplements, fine. But you get to dictate that with your practitioner. So if you work with an Equal Life health coach, myself, work with an IHP, you can usually get a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, meaning here are the basics, the foundations that you need in addition to the sleep and the lifestyle, etc. Then here's the next level, then here's the next level. But remember, you need to get good quality sleep at night. You need to improve nutrition. You need to get the body just walking. Doesn't have to be a lot of exercise, although exercise is fantastic for anxiety. Okay, so yours, I wouldn't be taking fulvic and I wouldn't be taking black seed oil as my 1 or 2 unless there was a reason to. Again, black seed oil, fine, great antioxidant, but it's taking the place of something else. I didn't see something like a daily nutritional support on yours. I didn't see an activated multivitamin. One of those 2 would be crucial. I didn't see something like a balanced zinc or an FM zinc. You do have omega-3s. Hopefully that's 2 grams. That's great. Vitamin D3 and K2, love to see that. Most adults need about 5,000 IUs a day. Magnesium glycinate, love to see that as well if it's working for you. We usually use full spectrum magnesium, which includes magnesium glycinate, but other forms as well. So those omega-3, D3, inositol, another great one if you have PCOS. So really great, no doubt about it. But are you doing anything for sleep? Are you doing anything for cortisol? Are you doing anything for thyroid? Low thyroid could cause the anxiety. So run the minerals and metals test, amazing. And if you can, after that, run the starter kit, also known as the vitamin tox test for all your vitamin levels, gut levels. Oh, don't do the starter kit. The starter kit you did because you're doing the HTMA. Apologies. I want you to run the stress mood and metabolism test for your thyroid, your sex hormones, your cortisol, all that, and then your candida metabolic and vitamins test for gut-based issues. All right, Celia? Hopefully that was helpful. Anonymous is up next. I'm a natural health practitioner and a very heavy drinker. Talk about feeling like a fraud. I started about 10 years ago and gradually increased to 1 to 2 bottles of wine and Prosecco or several gin and tonics, Bloody Marys, etc. almost every day for the past 5 years. It started as a coping mechanism when triggered for past traumas, but then became a habit, and I'm working with a therapist now on the emotional and mind aspects. I need help with the physical. By the time you read this, I am hopeful that I will have been sober for 8 weeks. If you were in my shoes, what steps and how long before you would do an FM detox. How else to heal all of the physical trauma placed on not just the liver, but the brain and heart, all of it. Thank you so much for your care in addressing what is often a taboo subject. Well, again, keep in mind that health practitioners are humans as well. They're literally human. They don't contain any special powers. That's why I tell people, yeah, a couple times a year, I still get a cold. I still get a sickness. I still get a virus, whatever you want to call it. I'm human, like without a doubt. My daughters come back from school and they might have something, even though they're super healthy kids. And I get it. If I'm on an airplane and someone's literally like coughing phlegm all over me, I sometimes get a cold. I wish it didn't happen, but like I'm human. So like we're all humans. I can even relate back to this. I was 22 years old working at this super high-end gym, like health gym is 110,000 square feet, super high-end, beautiful, amazing. I was lucky to get a job there, truthfully, at 22. And there were like 10 personal trainers out of the 30 personal trainers that smoked cigarettes. And then many of them drank like super heavy on the weekends and sometimes even more often. And I like couldn't really understand it, but also like, I get it. Like they're also human, even though they know they shouldn't be smoking. Many of them did it because of stress and anxiety and trying to keep their weight down and all sorts of things. So like, I get it. All that to say is it's not taboo and there's nothing like you're okay. Like you are good. And so here's what we want to do. Work on the mental health aspect of it with a good mindset coach or therapist in general. Then on the health side of it, if you're drinking, you're going to be depleting your B vitamins, your methylated Bs, B1, B2, B6, B12, B9. You're probably going to need more zinc and you're probably going to have gut dysfunction, right? So we need to fix that. So if you can, run the big 5 labs. If you can't, well, let's begin, right? So the 3 most important nutritional supplements for most people are the daily nutritional support. You might need to do that twice a day for breakfast and then mid-afternoon. Omega-3s, 2 to 3 grams a day. And then vitamin D3, most people need about 5,000 IUs if you're not going to lab test. Okay, so then what about after that? Well, you'll want to look at maybe a balanced zinc or just an FM zinc. And then maybe we keep it at that for nutritional supplements and we start to get you moving and also get you sweating. A sauna will be so good to help out those kidneys and your liver, right? Really, really important. And then the 21-day detox, not a 7-day, I would do a 21-day as soon as humanly possible. That's what I would recommend for sure. So hopefully that was helpful, Anonymous. We are all rooting for you and right back anytime. All right, Nicholas is up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I need your help. I have synovial chondromatosis in my knee. I've had 2 surgeries within the last 2 years to remove the tumors. However, they couldn't remove them all and they are growing back. I live in a healthy, active lifestyle, gym 3 to 4 times a week, tennis once a week, walk the dog 7 times a week, eat organic, take supplements, glutamine, creatine, collagen, whey protein, anti-aging supplements. Let's see. A sauna, cold plunge 2 to 3 times a week. I've recently done your detox. What could be the potential root cause imbalance? What would you recommend to do? Testing supplements, lifestyle to address my condition. All right, happy to help. So for those who don't know, this condition, it's fairly rare, but the good news is this: the tumors that grow are not cancerous. They're almost always benign. The problem is the cartilage literally begins to grow larger in particular tumors like cysts. And so they need to be removed. Here's what I do in my practice. 1, I always find the deficiencies and toxicities, just like I talk about in my new book, Personomics. If you can run the big 5, I can't recommend that enough. Anything causing inflammation, we're going to reduce that. Any deficiency, we're going to improve that. And then I would add 2 to 4 capsules of proteolytic enzymes upon waking to go in and scavenger the extra fibrin, the proteins, the proteases will go in and do that. So I'm a big fan of that. I'm also a big fan of fluorofilm. So you can take like 2 proteolytic enzymes and 2 fluorofilm upon waking. I would definitely recommend that in addition to what you're doing right now. And just make sure that you're adding in intermittent fasting. 12 to 16 hours overnight, every single night, ideally from like 6 at night to 8 in the morning or 10 in the morning. And then you can have your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Definitely recommend intermittent fasting to allow the body to go in and clean out this debris, not allow these new tumors to begin to take hold. You may want to cut down on the glutamine and potentially the collagen anything that's more anabolic, just for you. Again, I'm not giving this for anybody else. Maybe just for 12 to 16 weeks. I'm a big fan of glutamine. I'm a big fan of collagen. No doubt about it. They're great for recovery, especially as you start to get into your later 40s and 50s. Now, of course, if you have cancer, you're probably not going to use those. But again, we're different strokes for different folks based on the individual. So Nicholas, hopefully that was helpful, and always happy to help. All right. Let's see. Sheena's up next. Hi, Dr. C. Hope you and your team are well. I'm a 46-year-old female, 111 pounds, 5 feet with a BMI of 21. I'm feeling really overwhelmed and confused as to how to get and stay in shape lately. I'm pretty knowledgeable in the health and fitness world, and I'm pretty healthy, but now I'm in perimenopause. I can't tell what's causing what. I actually gained weight, but I don't know if it's because I'm in perimenopause. Where do I start to stay healthy inside and out? I'm a Vata with a little Kapha and don't know how to work out for my body anymore. I feel catabolic, but at times I feel like I can gain weight so easily on my legs. Just so confused at this time in my life as to how to stay healthy because I have so much changing hormonally and I can't seem to grasp control and understand what's happening. Help. Happy to help. Okay, so if you can only run one lab, you're going to run the stress, mood, and metabolism test. That's going to go through estrogen and progesterone, testosterone, and DHEA. We're then going to know where you are in terms of hormone production. You're in perimenopause, which means you most likely still have your cycle. You're going to run it. You're going to run this lab about 5 to 7 days before you get your day 0 or day 1 of menstruation, first day of bleeding, okay? Then what I want us to do is look at your sex hormones. We're going to help improve estrogen, progesterone, or the balance between the two, improve DHEA or testosterone naturally. We're going to look at cortisol levels throughout the day. We're going to look at your thyroid because it's all on the lab. We're going to look at hemoglobin A1C, and we're going to also look at your vitamin D levels. So that's the best test to run. If you can run the Big 5, that test is also part of the Big 5. All of these labs, everything I'm talking about here today can be found at stevencabral.com/shop. That takes you over to Equilife. But remember, with all of these labs comes a personalized plan, a call and a plan. So it's the best of all worlds. That way there, we don't need to guess anymore. So, overall, you're doing well. You're 5 feet, 111 pounds, BMI of 21. You're 46 years old. I agree. You're probably moving into perimenopause. So let's help you just naturally move through perimenopause without the ups and downs. Because right now, what you're probably feeling is water retention, maybe from hormonal imbalance. And I don't want you to go too low in your calories. And I also don't want you to over-exercise or under-exercise. So let's make that part of your plan. All right, Sheena? That's my recommendation. And then we can dial it in for exactly what you need. That is true precision-based health. All right, Jenny's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. Now that you and Equilife are unable to provide CBD gummies in your other CBD products, is there a brand you recommend or use personally? Thanks for all you do. Okay, so Jenny, we are probably no more than I know it's a couple months away from recommending 2 to 3 products for organic full spectrum CBD. I was actually just about to give you my recommendation for CBD-based products, but they went out of stock. So now I'm saying, well, if a company's going to go out of stock, why don't I give you 2 to 3 different brands that I personally use and recommend in my practice and for family? I'm going to give you some that are CBD only, and I'll give you some that have a little bit of THC. All right. And so I'll give you all of those recommendations coming up soon. They will be on a Friday review. All right. So stay tuned for that. And if you're an IHP, I'll also pop them in the IHP recommendations for your clients. All right. Those were our 5 questions for the day, but I will be back tomorrow answering 5 more from our community. Take care, everybody. Have an amazing rest of the day.